let's continue. So we move from leading consulting to interesting developers, EPCs, who are also somewhat special in what they are doing, because they are not just developing, which they also do in many countries, but they have also something interesting, which I will not tell now, but you will see soon. And we start first with a presentation from BayWa. So I'm very happy to have with us Christoph Reiners, who's the product manager for ground-mounted PV and tracking systems of BayWa r.e. Christoph has been working for over 5 years with BayWa, where he was in the past also the team leader of the O&M department. In his current job, he's involved in several projects regarding PV trackers, optimization, root cause analysis, and bankability of new products. And he will share with us some of the experience BayWa made with using trackers. Christoph, welcome. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Michael. I will start my presentation. Thank you very much for the short introduction. Just to get something right, I've been working for BayWa r.e. and its former companies for 13 years now, and I used to be the managing director of BayWa r.e. Solar Operation Services. So I was really deep in the services, in the operations.
Sorry.
And no problem. And that's actually something I want to make reference to. It's time to get operational knowledge into the solar projects business more and more. And yeah, that's why I've made the step from operations into project development just the recent months. So I have an issue. I think I cannot share my screen. Now it's opening. Cool. Can you see it now? I jump into the presentation mode. And I think I have to change it, right?
Yes, I can see.
Yeah. Oh, no. That's not the right one.
Now it works.
So can you see it now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. So the topic of my presentation is the experience with trackers within the globally active company like BayWa r.e. Solar Projects. First of all, I would like to give you a short introduction about BayWa r.e., where we come from, where we're heading to. Then I will give you a insight into our global pipeline and the tracker experience so far we had within solar projects. Then I took the little topic about financial modeling, how it affects the LCOEs with regards to the application of the tracker technology. I think this is quite interesting for the audience here. And finally, I chose to have a deeper look into a performance evaluation where we made the comparison between bifacial panels and monofacial panels in a tracker system. So some kind of validation of what the industry is telling you, what is the upside if you use bifacial models compared to non-bifacial panels, and is the predicted outcome really realistic, or is it just a fancy idea of a solar module manufacturer? And last but not least, of course, a little conclusion, and then I think I will be done in a timely manner, hopefully. So about BayWa r.e., I don't know if it's all if it's known to the broad audience. Some figures about the group, the company. It was founded in 2009, and we've become a major global player. You will see our footprint, our geographical footprint later in this presentation. And yeah, an interesting track record, and of course, lots of technologies have emerged in these more than past 10 years. And the next chapter will be, of course, in line with the tracking technology. In 2021, we have become a public limited company. There was a significant capital increase. I don't know if you have heard about it on the media. Our mother company, BayWa AG, sold 50% or 49% of the shares to a Swiss investor. And backed with this capital increase, we are hopefully in the position to tackle future challenges, and we are very confident about this. Our track record is about 3,000 megawatt peak realized worldwide in PV, but we are the way structured that we also have project development for wind technology within our group. So there are 3 business entities taking care of the energy transition. That's the projects, wind and PV, where I work. Then the solutions, it's about optimizing the electricity demand of commercial clients. And last but not least, the services. Here it's about optimizing the yield, getting out of the plant the maximum, combined with energy trading services, as you see it here on the left-handed side. Our PV pipeline is about 24 gigawatts, and that's the first part where I want to jump in to the part of my presentation. The mentioned pipeline of 24 gigawatts, it's structured in 3 ways. We have a certain amount of the pipeline which is secured, which is controlled, where we are in charge and decide how the project development is taking place. Then the project lead, where we have first contracts in place, first letter of intents and so on, where we can say, hey, that's the way we want to have it. And finally, around about 7 gigawatt under evaluation, where we have early stage projects and see if we can realize them or not. So it's quite a healthy pipeline. And the interesting thing is now, how does the technology split look like with regards to our pipeline? And the pipeline, of course, it's constantly updated, but already because BayWa r.e. was mainly active so far in the OECD countries, mainly in Central Europe, where the tracker was not so prominent. Already, our existing pipeline consists of 30% trackers. This pipeline is fulfilled by 6% floating PV. Another very interesting technology BayWa r.e. is quite strong in. Others that would be, for example, battery storage, hydrolysis, agri-PV, and so on. And last but not least, the fixed tilt, where we come from, we all know very well. But lots of the projects we have in our pipeline, the 60% fixed tilt, they will be reviewed and maybe planned from scratch with single axis tracker. So this amount of 30% is growing bigger and more prominent. So what I want to point out here is that we are deeply convinced that the tracking technology is on the advance, and I think this portion is rather becoming bigger than smaller in the very, very near future. Let's talk about our experience with tracker at BayWa r.e. solar projects. So far, we have applied this technology in 3 regions, as you can see it here: the Americas, Australia, and Spain. We started our tracker journey in the Americas, mainly precisely in the United States, where it's quite a standard to operate and build big power plants with tracking systems. In total, 10 tracking systems, approximately half a gigawatt of installed peak power, and the technologies applied here were Nextracker, ATI, and SunPower. In Australia, it's big plants. It's in total 3 tracking systems we have built here so far with a total capacity of 250 megawatt peak. For all 3 projects, the technology was supplied by Nextracker. And last but not least, Spain, approximately 80 megawatts being built or being under construction right now. It's about 2 PV tracking systems. And here we have this special setup that we try to go our way again with the substructure company Zimmermann. They have found a little company, Zimmermann PV tracker, and this is something Michael made reference to. We look into different opportunities with regards to our suppliers, and as the cooperation with Zimmermann was so successful in the past for BayWa r.e. with regards to the fixed tilt system, with regards to floating PV, we are assured that this really strong and healthy relationship could also lead into the tracker future. What is the current status with trackers at BayWa r.e.? How do we assess the situation? So we see many new challenges for the O&M. We have more complex error patterns here. As you all know, the mechanical misalignments are responsible or can be responsible for underperformance. And it's a special challenge for the monitoring tool that it has somehow an interlink between the energy production and the alignment of the trackers. So in our eyes, there must be some kind of suppression of certain alarms that I don't get double alarms. It's big plants. There's the risk that you get flooded or spammed by false alarms or double alarms. So here it's really an issue where we see the monitoring performance or the performance of the monitoring suppliers has really to improve. There are good solutions out there, but our personal opinion is still lots of developments have to be made. Then the mechanical maintenance, it's moving parts. It's another field where we didn't have to look into in the past with regular maintenance for fixed tilt ground mount systems. This will for sure change a lot. And you see these 3 symbols here. As I come from the operations side, where we are having a deep look into wind energy as well. We have a control room with 4 gigawatts monitored power, not only PV, but also wind. And my feeling is now, if I look deeper into the tracking technology, that it's something between the standard fixed tilt and the windmill with its moving parts, and the tracker, it just fits into the middle of these 2 recognized or well-known technologies. We have various suppliers, as I mentioned above. We have made good experiences with them. See, here and there we have problems. That's just normal. That's just the normal run. If a new technology is emerging, if something is picking up, and we have comparable problems with more or less all of the trackers and their willingness to support and to troubleshoot. So here, services, it's really a big issue. After sales, being in touch with the supplier and getting problems done once the plant is in operation. A special topic I would like to make reference here, it's about a plant where we wanted to do some specific site assignments, or not assignments, site improvements, where you have, it's a very flat terrain there. It's not very critical, not very complicated with regards to shading problems, but there's a little hill within the plant. And we were asking, hey, dear tracker supplier, could you support here in maybe having an individual change in the programming of the control? And the manufacturer was just referring to a standard product he wants to sell, where this particular small adjustment could be part of the deal. Same about diffuse light optimization. When we have not a direct irradiation, when we go into the store or into the horizontal position, that this is a low-brainer to us. That's a special feature which has to be requested too for some of the tracker suppliers we've been working with in the past. And yeah, that's some way of improvement or some room of improvement where we see that they can be more customer oriented, the tracker suppliers, and or we have the chance to pick this issue up with our little cooperation with Zimmermann PV tracker, that we move this into the suitable and good direction for services. So that means so far we don't have a preferred supplier. That means we are very flexible in logistics. Maybe one day we will have a project, I don't know, in South Africa, where it's about local content. We are not bound to a certain provider. We can just go for the partner we think who's the most suitable. And last but not least, I think yes, the technology has advanced, but I think that the competition is still going on, and there's not the one partner in the market. There are big partners out there, no question, but there's not the number one partner yet in place, and we still want to observe the situation and the competition. So as I mentioned, we had a very positive track record with Zimmermann. We started this journey with a standard free field ground mount system, then followed by our really successful floating PV system. For your convenience, I've copied the link into the presentation you can access afterwards. And I want to give you some insights on not funny features, but features which emerged from the cooperation, from discussions our colleagues and me had with the engineers from Zimmermann. What you see here, and that's something a colleague of mine came up with. Hey, if we have a little hill within the terrain, what could we do here? Isn't it an option to use a cardan joint? And then the engineers from Zimmermann, they said, hey, good idea. What was the outcome? This cardan joint, it was not used in one of our plants, but they said, hey, it was a good idea. And I think just at the beginning of this week, they opened to a colleague of mine that this solution would be used in another small 2.5 megawatt plant. Not ours, but still good that Zimmermann picks up this input from the real life, from the people who are out there, from the people who develop, from the people who service. And yeah, let's wait and see what this situation will finally look like. The other thing we will be currently working on is the optimization of the diffuse irradiation, that you go into a, for example, horizontal position, and yeah, make up our own mind about smart algorithms, when to go into this position, not moving into the calculated position for following the sun, and then forth and back into the optimized diffuse irradiation position. So that's some points where us at BayWa r.e. we are happy to have a small partner where we can influence. Of course, we cannot have the big benefits a big supplier might have in cooperation with Next or whoever from many other projects, but precisely and specifically on projects, I think it's really good that we have direct access to this small engineering department, and who will then pick up our ideas and work on them. So that was an example for a tailor-made solution by our preferred partner, but not our preferred partner, but by one of our partners, Zimmermann. And we are still open for any other tracker supplier, because as I mentioned before, we consider this scene to be in the race, and yeah, we will see where the journey will take us. Another thing I would like to introduce to you or explain to you, it's about these new degrees of freedom in financial modeling. Because in the past, when we were planning projects, the potentials how to optimize projects were quite limited with regards to a standard fixed tilt project. So this example I brought with me, it's about a real project in southern Spain with real figures. I will disclose to you in the next slide. The project sales and the PPA was in 2020, so it's no longer actual, it's historic figures. Nowadays, the figures have to be different to be price competitive in the Spanish market. The speciality about this project was that we have a project which consisted of two plants, of two sub-plants, subplant A and subplant B. And the special thing was that they were sharing the development costs and the grid connection costs. And subplant A was not so much limited with regards to space. It was clear we could fully use the space by applying a tracker technology, then in combination with bifacial modules, getting the maximum output and the best load curve over the day to guarantee good capture rates per megawatt hour. The subplant B, the both 11 megawatt peak maximum power, which could be loaded into the grid. It was a bit more complex or demanding because the terrain was less favorable to accommodate a fixed tilt or a tracking system. So if we would have gone for a tracking system, it was clear that we would have to reduce the 11 megawatt peak guaranteed grid capacity offered from the grid operator to a certain amount. And then we got into the details of the planning on how to work in this subplant B. So at the end of the day, as mentioned in the previous slide, there were four combinations possible as we had two substructure systems available and two types of modules, meaning monofacial and bifacial modules. If we stay with a fixed tilt system in the beginning, the total capacity would have been 11 megawatts. So it's the maximum the grid could take. We were offered, and it's the same figure as we have it in subplant A. If we would then move to trackers, it was clear that the total number of trackers would not fit the 11 megawatts. We would have to go below 11 megawatts, and we ended up with 8.5 megawatts. That meant combining the different options we had at the end of the day, the best option was to go for the tracker in combination with bifacial modules. The LCOE was approximately 36.6 euros, and the LROE, the revenue, was round about 37.3 euro. There's something I have to mention. Don't take these figures for granted itself, because they are still not very competitive. Please bear in mind that the grid connection costs of plant A and B had to be put into one pot, and this will not be disclosed within this presentation. That's confidential. But what you can see here, and what is really interesting, or what was good with regards to degrees of freedom with regards to the modeling, if you go from the fixed tilt monofacial to the bifacial, you could already improve the LCOE by 2.4%. Then just tracker plus monofacial, already improvement of nearly 20%. And last but not least, 23% improvement of LCOE in the combination of trackers and bifacial modules. And here you can see, it's not the absolute figures. You can you have to take in account here, but still it was moving into the right direction. I think you can follow and follow my assumptions here. So the conclusion was the LCOE optimization was happened on 3 levels. The first one was the higher yield by optimizing module technology, for sure, going from bifacial or from monofacial to bifacial, having a competitive pricing. One of the things who turned this project into a profitable one. Then the lower capex, of course, the tracker 8.5 megawatt versus fixed tilt had a slight improvement with regards to initial investment, and the higher capture rate was very favorable too, due to the fact that we don't have just the good irradiation at noon, but also can benefit from the morning and from the evening hours, which are better covered in this setup. So as I mentioned, the combination of the 2 subplants A and B, subplant B with the design number 4, as you see it on the left-handed side, they turned into a profitable project. The high development and grid connection costs could not be borne by a standalone subplant A. So it was the combination who turned this project into a living one. And as I mentioned before, the LCOE mentioned in this subplant B, they are outdated. They are not the real ones for the project development of subplant B, because it was in combination with subplant A. But still, nowadays we expect LCOEs to be at around about 30 euros per megawatt hour for a profitable project in southern Spain. Then, yes, as mentioned in my agenda, the last point where I want to give you some operational insights. We had a tracker project in southern Spain. It's been built with monofacial modules, and we took the freedom to fine-tune, let's say, some parts of the plant by putting bifacial modules of different manufacturers on some of the inverters, on some of the trackers. And yeah, as you can see here, the orange dots, that's the monofacial PR. And then you see that there's a big difference with regards to performance ratio, with regards to PR, that there's a big improvement if bifacial modules are being applied. We applied 6 different manufacturers. I don't want to go into details and the names. That would be unfair, because there could be, of course, other issues like partial soiling or so on, which might affect the performance. Still, we tried to have clean modules and the same conditions for all the panels in our testing, and you see that compared to the monofacial, which is the baseline, we have gains from 4.2% up to 10.1% specific yield for this test. We have to be clear that this test, as you can see it here, it's in Spain. It was during summertime. It was mainly clear skies. So if it's the 10% at the end of the day, if we go into a diffuse irradiation in the run of the year, this is something we will have to investigate too. But still, we were very happy with the combination of bifacial modules together with tracking systems. With regard to the effect of daytime, that's here on the right-handed side, quite interesting. The yield gain is most in the middle of the day. Here in the morning hours and the evening hours, not too much differentiation between the monofacial and the bifacial, but during noon, just in the middle of the day, you can expect the big electricity gains to happen. And yeah, if you put the higher specific yield into consideration or into relation with the higher cost, which are approximately 5% of the bifacial modules, it's a favorable situation, and it's another potential to increase the profitability of tracking systems. And for us at BayWa r.e, it's always important to make a test what has been promised in advance from manufacturers, from our design team, challenge this with real figures, and do these kind of investigation and tests in real and live plants. So I think that's it from my side. The conclusion, you've seen our pipeline, so we really believe in tracker technology. It will be a major changer, especially in EMEA. We know that in Australia and Northern Americas, it's clear it's already proven technology, but it will pick up for sure in Europe as well. It's a good mean to optimize complex financial models. For example, the very expensive grid connection we have seen in Southern Europe, like mentioned in my little example. We have started planning for Northern Europe with trackers. So I'm really curious about one of the following presentations where we'll pick up this topic too. So at BayWa r.e, we are looking into the application of tracker and potential application of trackers in Denmark currently. Another thing we have to investigate and keep a critical eye on it, if the planned OPEX can really match the real OPEX. This is something we cannot validate right now. It will still take some time. But if we match the right figures into our models, I think the tracker has the potential to significantly drive down the LCOE. And at the end of the day, we also see a great potential of agri-PV in combination with PV trackers. We are active here as well. You're invited to join and to have a look at our small website. Again, for your convenience, I have copied the link into my presentation. It's about the combination of tracker systems and agriculture. And if you see, if the what's this machine called, the tractor, the mower, is moving along this part of the field, the tracker can be put into an upright positioning that he is not being touched or affected by the tractor and by the machine. So that's something we are looking into as well. And last but not least, some final advertisement. It's a big audience here. So if you are active in development activities, we are really interested in co-developing setups. If you have projects, if you have ideas, how we could potentially support you on getting your projects over the finishing line. We can offer various services. We can offer joint venture structure. We can support with engineering services. Yeah, feel free to contact me. And yeah, that it should be for the time being. Thank you very much.
Wonderful presentation. Thanks a lot, Christoph. That was great, sharing this experience and looking at your experience from all the sides. Again, we're still a little bit late, and we have to, for the last panel, actually end up at 16:30 because one of our panelists has another event at 15, so at 17. Please stay with us and contribute in the discussion on the chat. I think there's a lot of questions and it's gone on. Thanks so much. So let's continue.